Welcome to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host Andrew Chia, and together with me is
Eric Chong,
and we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world that involves ASEAN countries' businesses.
In these brand new editions, we bring you 4 segments: the current business update, our Durian main story, funny business moment, and health is well.
Let's start with our current business update. Our focus today is on the euro. Greece has recently defaulted on its loans, and we expect the euro to drop further. But
will the euro depreciate further?
It seems that for the past few days, Eric, the euro did not depreciate as much as expected.
Yes, and it's actually going on a roller coaster ride.
Yes.
Okay, it drops a bit, then it comes back a bit, it drops a bit, then it comes back a bit, but it still hits about 1.1.
Right.
It hardly goes to par. So a lot of people are expecting it to go to par.
You mean a lot of people have lost money already?
Should be, yeah.
I believe they have lost heavily.
Yes.
Shorting the euro, right?
Yes. A lot of people will be shorting the euro at this moment, but it all depends whether you're going on a intraday trading or you're going on a long trading.
What I believe, Eric, is that the euro in the long run, say probably few months or a year, it will continue to go down, but immediately it may have some going up and down, right?
Yes, and since yesterday, the euro stock market has been quite well received, and it's not actually dropping as bad. And some of the investors are actually quite confident with the euro.
Great. Let's take a closer look at the euro in today's business update. The euro officially began in 1999, right?
Yes.
At the turn of the century, or just before the turn of the century.
Right. So when it started, it was at par with US dollar. The highest was 1.6 to 1 US dollar in 2008 during the subprime crisis.
Wow, that was quite strong against the USD, right?
Yes, and at that time everybody is so optimistic about the Eurozone, which everybody just go for Euro rather than the US dollar.
Yes, it's giving the USD a run for its money, right?
Yeah, and
in fact, just before the Euro was launched, everybody was not really optimistic that it will do well.
Yes, because there are some skeptics, even within the Eurozone, the Euro reserve, the EU. Okay, some of the countries are quite skeptics about the unions of the currencies. Right.
So, what has happened since then? The Euro's roller coaster ride. Did it strengthen gradually against the USD, Eric? Since you are the currency expert.
Oh, I can't say myself is a currency expert. Okay, but during the turn of the 2010, okay, the euro has been quite strong,
strengthening
against the US dollars.
Probably because the US were having subprime problems, right?
Problem, and at time you will be looking at the major debts of the US dollar. Okay, at that time the US debt was close to 3 trillion, 17 trillion.
More than their GDP already.
It's more than their GDP already.
So everybody panicked.
Everybody is panicked. And they run through 3 sessions of quantitative easing in a year. So which makes the US dollar is very
So how is the US euro doing right at this moment, Eric?
Well, since yesterday, it's been hovering at about 1.10 something, around that region. It hardly reached 1.1. Okay, so some people, it's still hovering around that since this morning. Well, since will Greece cause the euro to depreciate further in this situation?
At this moment, Greece has already defaulted, right. And they have already had their referendum, which says no to more austerity measures and paying back their debts.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, it's a big pity for the creditors. You loan people money to save their economy, and now the economy go down, they say, I don't want to pay. How nice.
Actually, Eric, there are a few ways to look at it. Sometimes it's like this sort of what you call over here in Malaysia or even Singapore, these people are called alongs. Alongs, basically, they exploit your problems and your weakness just when you are most vulnerable, they come around and ask you, Eric, would you like to borrow some money? That is the time when you need it most, and you won't mind paying any amount of interest just for that cash.
So you are saying the IMF is the world's biggest along?
According to some people, but if you compare IMF loans with other countries or banks, IMF has been a very low interest, less than 10%.
Yes.
Can you imagine they have been borrowing more than 20% from some other quarters?
Mm-hmm. I think one of their bigger creditors are Japan.
Japan is the biggest creditor in the world. It's not surprising if they borrow from Japan, right?
Yes.
So will Greece actually cause the euro to depreciate further with all these problems in the country of Greece? What do you think, Eric?
Well, there are certain factors that will cause the euro to strengthen, okay?
Instead of depreciating.
Depreciating.
Like some people are expecting, isn't it?
Yes. That is the normal situations where people will just expect the currency to weaken once the country or the zone is in deep problem.
Logical.
Yes, but then we look at it, there are certain factors that the euro might be strengthening. The ECB's enormous monetary stimulus.
As in printing money? Or
don't be so direct
quantitative easing.
Easing, there's a lot of monetary terms, okay?
Right, yeah.
Easing of pressures for Italy and Spain, which means they are expecting Spain also in problem, Italy also in problem.
These two countries have borrowed lots of money, up to trillions.
Yes.
So if the ECB is not chasing hard after their money, then immediately they won't have serious problems.
Yeah. So probably they still have some time to play with, but the time will come. Then expectations of a genuine economic recovery in Europe.
Yes, that is partly due to ECB's monetary stimulus also, I believe.
Yeah, so when they said expectations of genuine economic recovery, which means the past are not genuine economic recovery.
Eric, can you please don't be so sarcastic?
Sometimes it's very strange, when they have an economic crisis and all these things. They felt that some are genuine issues, some are not genuine issues.
So to answer the question just now, will Greece actually cause the euro to depreciate a lot? The answer, I believe, would be not so significant, because Greece is only about 2% of the GDP of the whole Europe.
Yes, and it's not that much.
But there's so much attention and so much hype surrounding this event called Brexit that everybody is so panicking.
It's just because that probably there's a global economic crisis at the moment. Everybody is paying attention to who can pay and who cannot pay.
And who is the one who is going to be the scapegoat
to not pay first.
Causing the whole world to collapse.
Yes.
And they are pointing a finger to a tiny country called Greece.
And then the population is so insignificant as you compare to the whole of Europe.
So back to our most important question. What is the impact of this whole situation of Greece on ASEAN countries and ASEAN economies?
Well, you can look at it in this way. For those importers, for the Euro products, they will be cheaper.
Right.
Going to Europe for tours will be cheaper, but exporters to Europe will earn less.
Yes.
Okay. So these are the situations. So guys out there, whether you are the importers or the exporters, do put in some factors for currency difference.
How about the man on the street, Eric? A lot of people are telling me, Andrew, don't tell me so many stories about Greece. There's definitely no effect on me. The country is so far away and the economy is so small, it really doesn't affect me. But what I noticed recently, Eric, is that all the currencies except one or two countries in the ASEAN countries, they have really depreciated, and people are really feeling the pinch of their smaller currencies already, isn't it?
Yes, and in fact, you look at the current situations, we are talking about global trade now. Okay? So the people on the streets, whether directly or indirectly, they are affected by global trades. And global trades involve currency exchange, different country economic situations. These are the factors that will affect the man on the streets, because we do buy import products, and we also sell things to other countries. So this will definitely be affected.
Right, but right now the man on the street is feeling the pinch. For example, in Malaysia, our currency has gone to a 16 or 20-year low and things like that, or even all-time low against the USD.
Yes, I think we should be touching $4 soon.
So all this actually started from Greece. So for the man on the street, it's quite difficult to believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Why did Greece cause our currency to depreciate against the USD and against currencies like Singapore dollar?
Well, it all boils back to demand and supply. When you felt that certain currency are not safe to hold, you let it go, then you go for a safer currency to hold on. Right?
So, logically speaking, our ringgit should appreciate against the euro dollar since Europe is having some problems, right? And this actually happened. We strengthened a little bit against the euro.
Just a little bit. And I probably feel that because maybe Malaysia are not trading so much in euro. Okay, because our exporters might not have a very strong trade with the eurozone. So in this case, our demand for euro might not be that high as in US dollars.
Eric, in your opinion, is it because the euro weakened against the USD and therefore the USD became stronger and comparatively our currencies in ASEAN became weaker? Is that the reason?
It can be indirectly factors that affect our ringgit, right? Because our ringgit is most of the time Asian currencies are based against the USD.
Right.
So when USD strengthens, rest of the currency will become weakened. Similarly, like Singapore dollars also weakens against US dollars. And we look at it, Aussie dollars have been for the past 6 years low. Since today is going about 74, 75 cents to a dollar. Right? So, or rather, 1 Aussie dollar to 75 US cents. Right? So, it had dropped tremendously. And got one time last year, actually Aussie dollar has been strengthening against US dollar so much higher.
So, these currencies fluctuations actually affect the man on the street very much, right?
Yes, because we are consumers.
So therefore I tell people, if you say Greece, a small country, and it's so far away, it doesn't affect you, you may be wrong.
You may be wrong.
Yeah,
yes.
Because a lot of people right now are complaining and some are taking drastic actions. For example, trying to run across the causeway to our neighboring country to work in Singapore. Because Singapore dollar used to be about 1-to-1 to Malaysia, or recently 2-to-1, but right now it's almost 3-to-1.
I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's about 2.8.
Right. Who doesn't want a stronger Singapore dollar for their ringgit? Isn't it?
You are still putting in the same man hour.
Right.
And so working condition is different.
It definitely affects everybody in the ASEAN region.
Yes, and local trades will be affected across the border.
So Eric, shall we take a short break?
We will take a short break, and we will be back with our main story for today. Stay tuned, guys. Don't go away.
The voice of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Welcome back, folks. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is the most important element for financial success, part 2. But before we bring you our main story, Eric is going to share with us his funny business moment. The title of his story today is The Great Pretender.
Okay, welcome back, guys. Eric here again. So, Andrew, you see in today's business world, there are a lot of people like to pretend.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Yes.
Chinese is called 板爷.
So, in this situation, there's this young businessman had just started his own firm. So he's very proud. He had just rented a beautiful office and had it furnished with antiques. Beautiful. Okay. So then he saw a man came into to his reception, and he don't know this guy. So wishing to appear to be a hotshot.
Right.
He just picked up the phone and start talking about big figures, big projects.
Probably that's his customer, right?
He thought it's a customer or a supplier just to impress him, and talking about giant commitments. Then finally he hang up the phone and asked the visitor, "Hi sir, can I help you?" "Yeah, I come here to activate your phone lines.
You really impressed the wrong guy.
Okay, impressed the wrong guy. So the telecom guy was here to activate the phone. Okay. Right, okay, we get back to our main story, part 2.
Right, thank you, Eric, for that funny business moment. Welcome back, and you're listening to ASEAN Biz, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Andrew Chia, and with me is Eric Chong, and we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world that involves ASEAN countries. The title of our Durian main show today is The Most Important Element for Financial Success, Part 2. Last week we covered Part 1. And in Part 1, we found out that there are 8 elements for financial success. 6 of these elements are skills, whereas the other 2 are financial discipline and emotional control. However, these 8 elements are still not the most important one. Today we shall find out what that most important element is. And that is the element which is a central theme of the definition of financial intelligence.
You mean there's a definition of financial intelligence? Well, tell me about it, man.
Yes, of course. There's an official definition for the term financial intelligence. You see, there are a lot of terms used to describe the subject of money.
Yes.
For example, financial literacy,
financial freedom,
right? Financial education. All these terms we feel are good but not accurate. For example, if you talk about financial literacy, Eric, right?
Yes. You
if
can read about it.
Yes, if you can read, literacy is about reading and writing, right?
Yes.
That means if you can read things like a financial statement, you understand what is debit and credit. Can you call yourself financial literate or not?
In a way, yes.
Definitely.
Right?
You're financial literate. You can read
at least you can read cash flow statements.
Right, yeah. So about financial education also, if you study subjects like economics or say business studies, you can actually call yourself financially educated.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the inconvenient truth is that people who are financially literate and financially educated are also struggling with money. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. So at Sanfis, they came up with a new word for the subject of money. It's called financial intelligence, and there's a definition for it. But we are not right now going to talk about definitions so soon because it's rather boring, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, give me the definitions and tell me about it.
I'm not going to do that for you, but what I can tell you is that it's trademarked and it's copyrighted
by
Sanfis.
Oh, okay. You mean they can actually trademark a term or words?
Sure.
Yes. We are still curious just to find out what is the ninth and the most important element for financial success.
Okay, drum roll.
Okay.
Is the understanding of the concept of residual income.
Residual income? What is that?
Well, Eric, it's a powerful concept, but it's not difficult to understand. Some people use it very often. They call it passive income. It actually means the same thing.
Right. But sometimes I just wonder, is passive income is truly the definition for continuous income?
Depends on who you ask. Passive income is very good. You don't do much. But I don't like the word passive because it's passive.
It's passive. So I would rather prefer it to be perpetual income. Right? Because when you talk passive, it means you are just doing nothing and, well, I mean to make some money, you actually have to, little bit also you need to do. Just go into the office to sign the check. That one is also an activities.
Right. There's no such thing as pure passive income, isn't it?
Yes. And yes, I have heard about passive income every now and then, but I didn't realize that it could become the most important element for financial success. Tell me more about it.
Right. It's a simple concept, but it's very powerful. Think about it. Why do we want to make money, save money, and invest money? What are we actually trying to do? Remember, right from the beginning, we were saying that financial success means not only having lots of money, but also having lots of time and freedom. That simply means we must make money by doing little or no work if possible. Now, how do we do that? Yeah, that sounds like something very powerful, and this idea of residual or passive income, it means that we can have income without doing much work. We can spend more time with our kids, our loved ones, or doing our hobbies. After all, like young people say today, we only live once. We must enjoy our life instead of working hard every day trying to make money.
Yeah, but then they enjoy too much. Okay.
And become like Greece.
Yes. And do you know who invented this concept of residual income?
That's a good question. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
The concept was discovered rather than invented. You see, the industry of rearing cattle and poultry has been around for more than 10,000 years. Man has learned the skill of rearing animals for food for such a long time, and is the basis of this concept called residual income. We can imagine how it was first discovered in the story of the hunter and the deer. The story goes like this.
Okay, we will take a short break, and we'll be back with your short story, or rather story shortly. And stay tuned, guys, don't go away.
Right, we'll be right back.
The voice of sharing. 旅人的香。
Welcome back, folks. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is the most important element for financial success, is part 2. Before the break, we discussed 6 factors that determine your financial success. Now, besides these 6 factors, which are really skills, we have 2 other factors of financial discipline and emotional control. But before that, let's take a short break to get a health tip from Eric Chong, our health and fitness expert. His health tip for today is hot or cold.
Well, Andrew, I need to ask the questions. In current hot weather, when you feel very hot, what sort of drinks do you go for in the first place? Your first reaction?
I believe everybody, if they are hot, they will try to jump into the lake. Jump into some pools of water, or try to drink something cold, isn't it?
If the pool of water is within your confine, you don't actually see a pool of water walking around you. And there's always been speculations that when you feel very hot, the hot weather is very hot, first thing you grab is a very cold, icy drinks.
Right.
So, and according to some experts from University of Sydney, Professor Robin McAllen, he said, yes, under certain conditions, a hot thing could have a cooling effect. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But maintaining healthy fluid levels in hot weather may be easier with cooler drinks. What's that means? Okay? So, how to cope with the hot weather? In 40 degrees Celsius, now we are almost like we are hovering about like 38, sometimes at 41, and oppressively humid.
Right.
You pull yourself up from your sweat-drenched chair and head to the kitchen to brew yourself a nice steaming hot mug of tea. What?
Why did they make this planet so hot?
Somebody make it so hot. Okay. I think the human beings make it hotter. And in recent years,
global warming
is actually facing global warming. So it's the natural reactions that people will just go for a cold drink when it's hot.
Definitely.
But this professor advised that first thing you go for is go for a hot drink rather than a cold drink.
Yes, Eric, if I remember my physics correctly, during secondary school, they actually taught us that having a hot drink can cool your body faster than having a cold drink. Yes. It's scientifically proven.
Scientifically proven. And this professor of University of Sydney emphasized it more further. Right? Sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? Most of us would have been likely to reach into the fridge for a cold drink, but plenty of people in India apparently sip hot tea to stay cool in the warmer months. Are they crazy, or can a hot drink actually cool you down? In some circumstances, it might, scientists say, because it could trigger a level of sweating that may more than compensate for the added heat of the drink. Wow. So it's a cool theory behind hot drinks. This is the theory. Drinking a hot drink on a hot day might seem like a strange choice, said Professor Robbins. Okay, that's because the amount of hot fluid inside a cup of tea is relatively small compared to the amount of fluid in an adult's body. However, drinking hot tea still activates temperature sensors that trigger sweating. And sweating is the key mechanism our body uses to cool us down. Okay. The professor says a hot drink can indeed trigger a net cooling effect through excessive sweating. But the sweat needs to be able to evaporate to produce a cooling effect. If it doesn't, and the extra sweat just drips to the ground, then you are no better off. In other words, if you are exercising hard or in a very hot and humid environment where you are sweating more quickly than it can evaporate, it won't be wise to increase your sweating rate further by having a hot drink. You're better off sticking to a cold drink. It turns out when you consume a hot drink, you produce more sweat relative to the small amount of heat added to the body. If all of that sweat can evaporate, then I'm better off with a hot drink. Okay, icy cold can make us hotter. This is because the icy drinks is so cold, it may shut down the body's sweating mechanism to the extent your body ends up storing more heat. So what to drink? So what sort of drink should you reach out for a hot day? A hot drink is okay as long as the extra sweat can cause evaporation.
I love scientists. Sometimes they enlighten you, sometimes they confuse
you, right?
Sometimes they enlighten you while trying to confuse you. So what's the answer?
The answer
hot
is...
or cold?
Okay. If we look at this situation, I exercise a lot. So after exercising, probably I will sweat like 1 liter or 2 liters of sweat. So in this situation, a hot drinks might not help because it actually makes your body much hotter. So you just need your body to cool down a bit. Probably take a cold drink, but not the icy cold one. Just a cool drink, that's all. But if you are on a hot weather, you are not doing any exercise, a slightly warmer drinks will help because when it stimulates your sweat and it evaporates between your clothing, you actually feel cooler. So these are the scientists' findings. So you'll have to experience it. In the next time, if you feel very hot, make a hot drink instead of going for a cold drink first. So test it out. You might enjoy it.
Right, guys, welcome back. You're listening to ASEAN BIZ, and our Durian main story today is the most important element for financial success. And today is part 2. Let's continue with our story. Just before the break, we were talking about how financial intelligence, or rather residual income...
Yes, and you still owe us a story about this hunter.
Okay, let's give you the story from Senfis. Can I read it to you, Eric?
Yeah, you don't read it to me, you read it to the audience.
Okay, right. Here it comes, guys. Once upon a time. Why must stories always start with once upon a time?
That's the opening statement, ma.
Okay, great. There was a hunter who lived in the jungles of Amazon with his beautiful wife. Every day he would kiss his wife goodbye in the morning and run into the jungle to hunt for deer. In the evening he would bring back deer for dinner. One day he felt that the deer were running faster than usual. Upon pondering, he realized that he was actually running slower than before because he is getting older now. He became worried because he thought if he is any slower, he might even become food for the tigers instead. He had sleepless nights worrying about the future of his family. Days passed and he finally had an idea. The next morning, as usual, he kissed his wife goodbye and went into the jungle to hunt for deer. In the evening, he brought back a male deer, but this time he would not allow his wife to cook it. Instead, he asked his wife to take care of the deer, build a pen to keep it, and to feed it with young plants and fresh grass. The next day, he caught another deer. This time, it was a female deer, and he would also not allow his wife to eat this deer. He gave his wife the same instructions to take care and look after the deer. By now, the wife is very hungry, but our hunter managed to catch another deer the next day for her, before she died of hunger.
Okay, which means you've been starving for 2 days already.
Yeah, poor girl.
Poor girl.
The 2 deer grew fatter and gave birth to a few small deer. The couple took down the pen and built a larger one. They fed all the deer and looked after them carefully, while our hunter did his usual work of hunting other deer for food. Time passed, and the little deer grew up and gave birth to even more deer. Soon the hunter did not have to hunt anymore, and the deer bred and bred more deer. He then exchanged his deer for food and other necessities for his family. Now that was how the strategy of residual income was discovered.
Wow, the strategy of residual income is indeed a very powerful one. Now, I understand why Senfis says that it is the most powerful element for financial success.
Right, yes, there you are. Yes, today, 10,000 years later, men have even gone to the moon. We are so smart. We have become so clever in many areas of science and technology. But more than 90% of the world today are struggling with money problems. Do you agree with this statement, Eric?
Yes, totally agree, because as the world getting more advanced, people will have more wants rather than more needs. So you arises consumerism.
And according to scientists, this situation arises because man has forgotten how to create residual income, just like our hunter 10,000 years ago.
Yes, I totally agree. And looking at today's financial problems are the biggest reason for this divorce. Okay, stress from money woes is also the main cause of poor health and diseases. Social problems also arise from money problems.
Right. Now, why is this so? The reason is that we have forgotten what we learned so long ago.
10,000 years ago. That was very long.
Not surprising.
Not surprising.
But Eric, I'm curious. We keep doing that in a different form today. For example, there are a lot of parents who still send their kids to school right now.
Yes, that's true. We definitely have to do that.
Including you and me.
Right.
We can count ourselves to be a little bit fortunate because we send our kids to school. Most other people, they have to go to work themselves, and they have just to get what they call school bus or someone else to take their kids to school. You see, talking about taking kids to school is exactly the same concept of the residual income that the hunter did 10,000 years ago.
So now they take the school to the children.
Actually, why they want to send kids to school, that's what I'm trying to say. They are trying to create a situation whereby the kids, when they grow up, they can take care of themselves.
Fend for themselves.
Otherwise, every day you have to feed your children until 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, you know. If the kid is not literate and unable to make money for himself, then you have to continue taking care of him, right?
Yes, and this kind of ability is so natural in the animal kingdom. And it does not happen in the human kingdom.
So you see, those days, the hunter got a deer, and then he reared the deer, and then he gave birth to more deer. Today, we are trying to duplicate that feat by trying to send our kids to school so that they can duplicate.
Hopefully, they can duplicate
the skills. But unfortunately, it didn't seem to work very well.
Yes, because they are so bogged down with too many things. Okay, and I mean, the focus is not there.
But like they say, Eric, the idea is there.
The idea is there.
Send the kids to school one time. No matter how difficult, every day I take him, it is the same concept. I try to send him to school one time. After that, he can take care of himself.
Hopefully, he can take care of himself. And then when your car broke down, the kids don't go to school. Okay, so I think it's the educations, or rather the awareness of the parents, to actually instill of the motive of educations and the survival instinct. How to impact to them with some survival instinct, right?
But somehow, besides taking kids to school, we forget the other part of residual income. Today, we work very hard trying to make money. But the moment we stop working, there is no income. But our expenses are still running, isn't it?
Yes, and the moment we open our eyes, or rather while we're sleeping, the interest
accumulate.
The interest still runs.
Yes. That is where financial problems start. Some people think that if they make a huge chunk of money, they can last forever without having money problems. Now, firstly, it is not so easy to make a huge chunk of money.
Yes.
Secondly, most people actually manage to finish off their whole chunk of money within a short period of time. The average time they can do that is 3 years, according to research at Scientists.
And depends on how big the chunk is.
No matter how big it is, they can finish it in 3 years. That is the research. So most of us would consider $2 million a big chunk of money, isn't it, Eric?
Yeah, for a lot of people, $2 million is a lot of money already.
Now listen to this. But recently, there was an article about this guy who made $200 million, and that's USD, you know, not ringgit.
Wow.
Within a few years, he ended up by having to beg for money just to buy a McDonald's burger. Say wow.
I'm speechless. You can finish 200 million in a few years.
Right.
And, to a lot of people, even 2 million can last them 3 lifetimes.
I'm not bluffing you, Eric. Their research article is there. You can Google Allen Iverson, Allen, Allen Iverson, and he's a very famous man, like most celebrities, like Mike Tyson.
So
they
which
can
means
finish off money.
he is celebrity in finishing off money?
He is actually a legend in basketball. He played alongside people like Michael Jordan. Can you
And
imagine?
I believe that quite a number of celebrities also having the same dilemma as he is.
Right. I believe some people can finish off more than 200 million.
Definitely.
And, some
Some
course,
can
finish
spend-
less than that.
Some can even have parties for a few $1 million in one night.
Amadeus Mozart was another famous example.
Yes.
He spent water
In
like
those
money.
days-
Yes.
In those days, money is huge. And practically you don't have much avenue to spend money.
Yeah. The
But
modern day Mozart was Michael Jackson, right? He also
Yes.
finished off all his money.
And he's not alone.
So you see, no, making a huge chunk of money to achieve financial success is not the best strategy. We prefer a residual income, a stream of income that is residual in nature, whereby you can make just, say, 200,000 a year instead of 200 million, and manage your expenses to, say, 100,000 or 150,000 a year. Then you would not have any money problems. You would have a lot of time freedom and no financial worries.
That sounds great.
Yes, exactly. And that is what we mean by financial intelligence.
Can you give me an example of anyone who used this strategy successfully?
Great question. Sure. The best example would be Bill Gates, somebody that everybody is familiar with, right?
Yes.
He had offers to buy his Microsoft DOS product for millions of dollars at that time. Now we have Windows, right? But before
Yes.
that, can you remember?
Very-
It was DOS.
DOS. And
That
very
made him
very
rich.
soon maybe he will come up with DOS.
Oh, okay.
You have Gates, you have Windows, so I think he should have DOS.
He'll become a billionaire all over again.
Okay,
Okay, let's
I just
talk
give
about-
Bill Gates an idea.
Great. What a silly idea. They offered him millions of dollars to buy his DOS, and he would have actually become a very rich man if he just taken one of those offers. But Bill Gates is made of more intelligent material. He understood the concept of financial intelligence, and he would not settle for huge chunks of cash. If he had, he might have ended up a poor man just a few years down the line, just like our celebrity friend.
Yes.
Now, Bill Gates aimed for residual income, whereby he licensed his product instead of selling it. Each time he licenses his product, he collects just a fraction of the money compared to if he were to sell it. But these residual streams of income kept pouring in all over the world. And the rest, as they say, is called history.
History.
He became the richest man in the world simply by understanding and practicing financial intelligence. Every day all over the planet, when anyone switches on a computer, he would have to pay the man called Bill Gates.
Wow. It's like a money printing machines already. Okay. So, thank you, Andrew. It's very enlightening,
You're welcome.
and it points out clearly the difference between what we call linear income and residual income. In today's world, how do we actually create such streams of residual income? Is it possible at all?
Of course, everyone tells me, hey, I'm not Bill Gates. Yeah, you are not Bill Gates, I'm not Bill Gates, but there are a lot of rich people around also who are not Bill Gates, but they manage to become rich and even very rich. And most of these rich people, they understood this concept of financial intelligence, and they have residual streams of income coming into their accounts day after day, month after month, and year after year.
Well, now that you say it, we don't really notice it. What do they actually do to get all this money coming to them without much work?
They do investments, mainly in properties. Some invest in stocks, whereas some others invest in businesses. But the most popular way that rich people secure residual income is through property investment. More than 90% of rich people in the world invest or park their money in properties. People like Li Ka-shing, Robert Kwok, and even our famous Arnold Schwarzenegger. His
Okay.
movie Terminator is running right now.
Okay.
Yes, he's a great property investor too. You see, people like Warren Buffett invest in stocks, whereas people like Bill Gates invest in business.
Great. Thanks for the answer. I will now go out and start buying properties. In no time, I will become a rich man and be financially successful. I will be receiving residual income. Is that true?
That's it. Yes. Financial intelligence is not really rocket science. However, we should not underestimate the need for mastering investing skills like property investment. Before we put in our hard-earned money to create residual income, we need to really know what we are doing. Learn and get advice from those who have successfully done it before jumping in with 2 feet. All the best, Eric.
Can you put all these things together one more time, just for our listeners?
Sure. You see, we might want to make money, save money and control our spending. All for what purpose, Eric? It is so that we can accumulate enough capital to buy an asset or something that can generate residual income for us.
And last our twilight years.
Waiting to die, is it?
Waiting to die.
That's a very bad example.
Well, you will grow old, and you still need money when you grow old.
Yeah, when we are old, please look forward to happy days instead of waiting to die, isn't it?
Right, definitely.
Now, it sounds stupid being able to make $1 million just to put it into a bank and earn 3% interest per annum. Not that we are recommending or saying that property is the best investment, but a piece of property is the most popular asset that a majority of rich people buy in order to generate residual income. When we talk about investing skills, we are actually saying the same thing. What is investing but to secure an asset that can generate and keep generating residual income? And when we talk about protecting our wealth and distributing it wisely, what are we actually trying to protect and distribute? But also these streams of residual income. Also, now we are talking about the 6 skills and the other 2 non-skills elements. Right.
Emotions.
We talked about financial discipline and emotional control earlier. And why do we actually want to control our emotion and discipline? It is also for the purpose of creating and accumulating and also to protect our streams of residual income. Does that make sense, Eric?
Yes, because should you unable to emotionally control yourself, the rest of the 6 factors is immaterial.
Right. In fact, these 2 factors are even more important than the skills, right?
Yes. So, because the skills can be acquired, but if you don't have an emotional control over situations, whatever skills is irrelevant.
Great, Eric. Wonderful. Let's come back to your question earlier. You asked me about the definition of financial intelligence, right?
Yeah, sure.
I have it right here with me. It's directly from Senfis. Can you please read it for our listeners?
Okay, it goes like this. Financial intelligence is the study and practice of creating, accumulating, and protecting streams of residual income. Residual income means doing work once and receiving income many times after that. Integral to the definition of financial intelligence is the practice of financial discipline and emotional control. So I see these 2 key words here, discipline and emotional control.
Yes.
With the ultimate factors.
That makes the difference between financially intelligent and financially educated.
Yes, and you look at certain rich businessmen that can make tons of money, but should they lack these 2 factors, it might not even last them.
Exactly.
Okay. So,
all right, folks. That's all the time we have for now. Thank you and hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back for more business updates on ASEAN Biz. Stay tuned.
Bye for now. See you.
The most important element for financial success was brought to you by Senfis, the Center for Financial Intelligence Studies, and edited by Chia. Disclaimer: the strategies mentioned in this story are the opinion of Senfis alone, and they may not be suitable for everyone. ASEAN Biz is not liable for any damages or losses incurred arising from the use or misuse of information on this program.